Welcome back to the English Hour. I'm your host, Sophia, and today we have Jacob joining us again. Jacob, how are you doing today?
Hey Sophia, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back. I've been really looking forward to our chat today.
Same here. We always end up having such interesting conversations. I was thinking we could keep things really open today, talk about whatever comes to mind. What do you say?
I love that idea. Sometimes the best conversations happen when you don't have a strict plan. It lets the mind wander, you know?
Absolutely. And it also feels more real, more like what people experience in everyday life. So let's start simple. What's something interesting that happened to you this week?
Hmm. Oh, actually, I started learning how to play the guitar again. I hadn't picked it up in years, and it felt so nostalgic.
That's awesome. What inspired you to pick it up again?
I was watching a video of this street performer playing some beautiful acoustic music, and it just brought back all these memories. I thought, why not give it another try?
Music has that kind of power, doesn't it? It triggers emotion and memory like almost nothing else can.
Exactly. And playing music is even more powerful. I think it's one of those universal languages, like smiling or laughing no matter where you're from, you get it.
I completely agree. Do you find that playing music helps you relax or focus?
Oh, yes. Definitely. When I'm playing, everything else just fades away. It's like meditation, but with sound.
I love that description, meditation with sound. That's such a poetic way to put it. So, what kind of songs are you learning right now?
Right now, I'm trying to learn some classic rock ballads. Stuff by the Eagles, Led Zeppelin, and even some Beatles. They're challenging but fun.
The Beatles. Now that's a timeless choice. Their melodies are so strong, and the lyrics always carry emotion. Do you sing while playing?
Haha, I try to, but I wouldn't say I'm great at it yet. It's tough to coordinate both hands and sing at the same time.
Yeah, I've heard it's like rubbing your stomach. And patting your head takes real coordination.
That's the perfect comparison. It really messes with your brain at first, but after a while, it becomes second nature.
So would you say music has helped you in other areas of life like discipline or memory?
For sure, especially with discipline. Practicing even when you don't feel like it, that builds a kind of mental muscle that carries over into everything.
That's such a good point. I think that kind of persistence is something everyone needs to develop, whether they're learning a skill, working on a job, or even just trying to improve their English.
Totally. And speaking of English, I actually use English songs to practice vocabulary and pronunciation too.
That's brilliant. Songs are such a fun way to learn. Do you remember a song that really helped you learn some new words?
Yeah, Hotel California by the Eagles actually. That song has so many vivid images and unusual phrases, it made me curious to look things up,
That's a great strategy, using curiosity to guide your learning. It makes everything more meaningful.
right? Because when you're curious, you're more engaged. You're not just memorizing words, you're connecting with them.
Exactly. And I think that applies to all kinds of learning, not just language. If you're not interested, it's much harder to retain anything.
100%. That's why I try to tie anything I want to learn to something I already enjoy, like learning English through music or even watching movies.
Oh, yes, English movies are another great resource. What's your favorite English language movie?
Tough question, I think I'd go with The Shawshank Redemption. The dialogue is so powerful and the story is unforgettable.
Great choice. That movie has so many memorable quotes. I bet it taught you a few idioms too.
For sure, like, get busy living or get busy dying. That line really stuck with me, not just for the English, but the life lesson.
Yeah, that quote hits hard. It makes you think about how you're spending your time. Are you just existing or are you really living?
Exactly. And it's crazy how a simple line like that can stay in your mind for years.
That's the beauty of storytelling, right? It can shape how we think, even how we speak.
Definitely. And I think that's one reason why learning English through stories is so effective. It's not just words, it's emotions, characters, meaning.
Totally agree. That's why we do what we do here, on the English Hour, help people learn through connection, not just repetition.
I love that approach. Honestly, if I had learned English like this from the start, I think I would have progressed much faster.
Well, now you're here, and you're inspiring others. That's progress that matters.
Thanks, Sophia. That means a lot. And hopefully, someone out there listening right now feels encouraged to keep going.
I'm sure they do. Just hearing your journey, your struggles, your breakthroughs can be the motivation someone else needs.
And if they're feeling stuck, I'd say just take a small step. Listen to one song, watch one video, learn one phrase. It all adds up.
Beautifully said. Every step matters. Even tuning into this conversation, that's already a step toward better English.
Right. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Learning is messy, but if you keep going, you'll get there.
I love that mindset. Progress over perfection. That's something we should all remind ourselves.
Especially in a world that often expects instant results. Language learning takes time, and that's okay.
Yes, you can't rush real growth. Whether it's language, music, or anything else, it's the process that shapes you.
And the more you enjoy the process, the longer you'll stick with it.
That's gold right there, Jacob. Enjoy the process. Maybe that should be today's motto.
Haha, I'm down for that. Let's make it a theme: enjoy the process, trust the journey.
Yes, that resonates so much. So, Jacob, let me ask, what's something you're enjoying right now, even if you're not great at it yet?
Interesting question. I'd say cooking. I've recently started trying new recipes. And while I mess up sometimes, I actually enjoy the experimenting.
Oh, I love that. Cooking is creative, just like music or language. What kind of dishes are you trying?
Lately, I've been into Italian. I tried making my own pasta sauce from scratch. It wasn't perfect, but it felt so satisfying.
That's amazing. And I bet you picked up some new vocabulary in the kitchen too.
Absolutely, words like simmer, saute, and garnish. Cooking really expands your vocabulary in unexpected ways.
I never thought about that. But you're right. Language is everywhere if you're paying attention.
Yep, every experience becomes a learning opportunity. You just have to be curious and open.
That's the perfect note to keep building on. Speaking of curiosity, what's something new you're curious about lately?
Lately, I've been really curious about space exploration. I watched a documentary about Mars colonization, and now I'm down the rabbit hole.
Oh, that's fascinating. Mars colonization sounds like science fiction, but it's slowly becoming science fact, isn't it?
Exactly, it blows my mind that our people working right now on how to grow food on Mars and survive its harsh conditions.
It's like the ultimate test of human innovation. I mean, think about it, building a life on a planet with no air or water.
Right? And it also makes me wonder, if we do manage to live there someday, how would language evolve? Would Martian English be a thing?
That's such a cool thought. Like how British and American English evolved separately. Maybe Martian English would have its own slang, its own expressions.
Imagine kids on Mars learning about Earth history the way we learn about ancient civilizations. Once upon a time, people lived on Earth and used oceans to travel.
Haha, that sounds so surreal. But it also makes you appreciate how adaptable we are as a species, especially with communication.
For sure, language is our survival tool. It evolves with us. I mean, look at how fast internet slang changes everything.
Totally, even 5 years ago, people didn't use terms like ghosting or vibe check. Now it's everyday talk.
And emojis, those have almost become their own language. A whole sentence can be expressed in 5 tiny icons.
So true. It's a visual shorthand. I wonder what that means for the future of written communication.
Maybe a mix of text, voice, and visual will become the norm. Like, instead of reading a message, you'll just hear a tone and see a symbol.
That sounds like telepathy. But your right, language is becoming more efficient, more intuitive.
And yet, we still crave long-form conversations like this. I think that says something about human nature.
Absolutely. We're wired for stories and connection. Short messages are convenient, but deep talks are nourishing.
That's why podcasts are so popular now, I think. People miss real conversations in a world full of noise.
Couldn't agree more. Sometimes just hearing someone speak calmly for an hour makes you feel less alone.
Exactly. And it also helps with language learning in a very natural way. You're picking up rhythm, intonation, expression.
Yes, that's something learners often overlook. It's not just about vocabulary, it's about how words feel when spoken.
Right. That's what makes a language come alive. Otherwise, it's just a list of words in a book.
You said it perfectly. Speaking of learning, what was your biggest challenge when learning English?
Honestly, confidence. I used to know the words but hesitate to speak because I was afraid of making mistakes.
Oh, I hear that from so many people. That fear of judgment is such a roadblock.
Yeah, and the truth is, people don't really care if you mess up. Most of them appreciate the effort.
Exactly. I always say, your accent is proof you're brave enough to speak another language.
I love that. It should be a badge of honor, not a source of shame.
100%. Every fluent speaker was once a beginner. We all start somewhere.
And making mistakes is just part of the process. I mean, even native speakers mess up grammar sometimes.
Haha, guilty? I still say less, when I should say fewer. Sometimes, no one's perfect.
That actually makes me feel better. Language isn't about perfection, it's about connection.
Beautifully said. And the more we connect, the more we learn. So, have you ever had a funny language mistake?
Oh, absolutely. Once I was trying to say, I'm full, after a meal, but I accidentally said, I'm pregnant, in front of my host family.
No, that's hilarious. What was their reaction?
They paused, looked confused, and then just burst out laughing. I laughed too, couldn't help it.
That's the best kind of learning. Humbling and memorable.
Definitely, I never made that mistake again, that's for sure.
That's the thing, mistakes are sticky. They stay in your memory better than correct sentences sometimes.
Exactly. It's like your brain flags it as important. Don't do that again.
Haha, it's learning through embarrassment. Very effective, though a bit painful.
Pain is a good teacher, I guess. But joy works too. I remember learning idioms through sitcoms and laughing a lot.
Oh, sitcoms are great. Which ones helped you the most?
Friends was a big one. The dialogues are simple, and the humor makes it easy to remember phrases.
Yes. So many people learned English through Friends. What's your favorite scene?
The one where Joey learns to speak French, he's just making sounds like blah, blah. Cracked me up.
Oh my gosh, yes. Jay de Couple Bleu. That was comedy gold.
And also a good reminder that learning takes time and that pronunciation matters.
True. And you don't have to sound native to be understood. Clarity is more important than accent.
Yes, I used to obsess over sounding native until I realized my goal was to be clear, not perfect.
That's such a healthy mindset. Embrace your unique voice.
It took time, but I got there. And now I even help others who are on that same journey.
That's the beautiful part once you've been through it. You can guide others with compassion.
Exactly. Because you understand the frustration, the fear, the little victories.
Speaking of victories, what was a moment when you felt, yes, I've got this, with English?
I think it was when I had my first job interview fully in English, and I got the job.
Wow, that's huge. What kind of job was it?
It was a customer service position for an international company. Lots of phone calls and emails in English.
That must have been intimidating at first.
Oh, I was so nervous. But once I survived the first week, I knew I could do it.
That's amazing. Real world confidence is the best kind. Better than any textbook.
Exactly, practice in real situations builds real fluency.
So true. And now you're helping inspire others who want to do the same.
That's the goal. If I can do it, anyone can.
You're such a great example of what's possible, with consistency and courage.
Thanks, Sophia. And honestly, platforms like the English Hour make a big difference. Listening, learning, laughing, it all helps.
That means a lot. We just want people to know they're not alone in the journey.
And they're not. We're all learning, growing, improving together.
Exactly. So, shall we go even deeper into this journey and talk about mindset next?
Yes, let's dive into it. Mindset is everything.
So, Jacob, when you say mindset is everything, what exactly do you mean by that?
I mean the way we think about challenges, goals, and even failure, it shapes everything we do. Especially when learning something like a new language.
That's powerful. So, it's not just about the tools or techniques, but how we approach them mentally.
Exactly. You can have all the apps, books, and tutors in the world, but if you don't believe you can improve, you'll hold yourself back.
That hits deep. I've seen so many people give up just because they didn't see results fast enough.
Oh, yes, impatience is a huge enemy. Language learning takes time. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
And mindset helps you stay in the game, right? Like when you hit that plateau and nothing seems to improve.
Yes, that's where most people quit. They think, I'm not good at this, when in reality, they're just one step away from a breakthrough.
So true. It reminds me of that quote. The moment you're about to quit is usually the moment right before the miracle happens.
I love that. It's so accurate. Sometimes you just need to keep showing up, even when it feels slow.
What helped you stay motivated during your plateaus?
Honestly, tiny wins, like understanding a full scene in a movie without subtitles, or having a 5-minute conversation without freezing.
Oh yes, those little wins feel like gold. They keep the fire alive.
And I celebrated every one of them. I think people forget that progress isn't always dramatic, it's quiet, subtle, and steady.
I love that. Quiet, subtle, and steady. That should be a mantra for every learner.
Exactly. And we have to be kind to ourselves. Language is complex. You're rewiring your brain, it's a big deal.
Such a good reminder. Too many learners beat themselves up over small mistakes.
Yeah. And that negative self-talk does more damage than the mistake itself.
Totally, it creates fear. And fear shuts down learning.
100%. That's why having a growth mindset is key. It means you see effort as progress and mistakes as information.
Growth mindset. I love that concept. It's like switching from, I can't do this, to, I can't do this yet.
Yes, that one word yet changes everything. It opens the door to possibility.
And it makes failure feel less final, more like feedback.
Exactly. Every mistake is just a signpost saying, hey, focus here next.
That's such a healthy way to learn. Did you always think like that?
No way, I used to be a perfectionist. If I didn't get it right the first time, I'd feel embarrassed or even angry at myself.
Oh wow, that must have been exhausting.
It was. Until I realized I was holding myself back with those unrealistic expectations.
What changed for you?
I started journaling. Just 5 minutes a day, writing about what I learned, how I felt, and what I wanted to improve.
That's amazing. A language learning journal?
Yeah. And it helped me track my mindset. I could see patterns when I felt discouraged, when I was making progress.
That's brilliant. Reflecting like that gives you power over your learning journey.
It really does. You stop being reactive and start being intentional.
That's so important. We can't always control how fast we learn, but we can control how we respond to the process.
Exactly. And once I shifted my mindset, everything else got easier.
That's the magic of mindset. It doesn't change the goal, it changes you.
Yes, and when you change, your results change too.
So let's talk about confidence. That's another piece of mindset, right?
Oh, yes. Confidence isn't about knowing everything, it's about trusting yourself to figure it out.
Love that. So many learners think they need to be perfect before they can speak up.
And that's such a trap. The only way to get better at speaking is, well, by speaking.
Exactly, confidence grows from action, not from waiting until you feel ready.
Yes. And the best part is once you take that first brave step, the next one becomes easier.
It's like building a muscle, right?
Totally. You don't lift 100 pounds on day one. You start with what you can do and build up from there.
So for someone listening right now who feels stuck or scared, what would you say to them?
I'd say be gentle with yourself. You're learning something extraordinary. Keep showing up, keep making mistakes, and keep celebrating your progress.
That's so beautiful. And true. You're doing something most people are too afraid to try.
Absolutely. Learning another language is one of the bravest, most rewarding things you can do.
And it opens doors, jobs, friendships, travel, even love.
Yes, my friend actually met his wife while practicing English in a language exchange group.
No way, that's so sweet. Love powered by grammar and Google Translate.
Haha, yes, proof that communication doesn't need to be perfect to be powerful.
That should be on a t-shirt.
Let's do it, the English Hour merch line coming soon.
Haha, why not? T-shirts that say, I make mistakes, therefore I learn.
or fluent-ish and proud?
I'd wear that. We should normalize learning in progress.
100%. Because the truth is, we're all learning in progress no matter the level.
I love that. So, Jacob, what does your current language routine look like these days?
It's actually pretty chill. I do 30 minutes of listening while I walk, maybe 15 minutes of reading something interesting, and I try to speak out loud to myself during chores.
That's a great mix. Passive and active practice combined.
Yeah, and I've learned to be consistent, not intense. It's better to do a little every day than 5 hours once a week.
Definitely. Language loves repetition and rhythm.
Exactly. Like music, it sticks better when you hear it regularly.
That's such a good comparison. So your brain is basically learning a new song every day.
Yup. And over time, it becomes background music you don't even realize you're getting better.
That's such a motivating thought. Progress in the background.
Yeah, you just have to trust the process and enjoy the journey.
I love what you said. Trust the process and enjoy the journey. But Jacob, what about those days when motivation just disappears?
Oh, I've had plenty of those. Days when everything feels pointless, when even listening to a podcast feels like climbing a mountain.
Yes, I think every learner hits that wall at some point. How do you deal with it?
I try to remind myself of why I started. I keep a note on my phone, just a list of reasons I want to learn. It grounds me.
That's so smart. Like a mini vision board in your pocket.
Exactly. And sometimes I just give myself permission to do the bare minimum on those tough days.
Ah, the low energy days. So instead of quitting, you simply do less.
Yes. Maybe I'll just watch a YouTube short in my target language, or read one paragraph of a story. Something super light.
That's a brilliant mindset. Stay in motion, even if it's slow.
Yes, because momentum matters more than intensity. You want to keep the language alive in your brain every day, even if just for 5 minutes.
That's such a valuable tip. So instead of aiming for perfection, aim for consistency.
Always. Consistency wins. I call it my no 0 days rule.
No 0 days, I love that. So even the smallest action counts.
Absolutely. A 2 minute listen still beats doing nothing. It sends a message to your brain. This matters to me.
That's such a good mindset shift. Because sometimes guilt kicks in if we don't do enough.
Oh, yeah. Guilt is a language killer. It creates shame, and shame builds walls.
And those walls block curiosity, which is so important when learning a new language.
Totally. Curiosity is the fuel. If you're curious, you're going to want to understand more.
So true. Like, I remember getting curious about why Spanish speakers use por, ves, para. I ended up going down a rabbit hole of culture, grammar, and context.
Yes, that's the best way to learn. Curiosity leads you naturally into deeper understanding.
So would you say curiosity is more important than discipline?
I'd say they work together. Curiosity pulls you in, and discipline keeps you coming back?
I love that. One is the spark, and the other is the engine.
Exactly. And both are part of a healthy mindset. You don't have to feel motivated all the time, but you can always stay curious and committed.
That's such a balanced approach. It feels less about pressure and more about flow.
Yes. When you're in flow, everything feels lighter. You don't force it, you follow it.
Speaking of flow, have you ever gotten so immersed in learning that hours passed without noticing?
Oh, absolutely. Especially when reading an interesting story or watching a film in my target language.
That's the dream. To reach a point where learning feels like leisure.
Exactly. That's the goal, to blend learning into your lifestyle, so it doesn't feel like a chore.
So what would a language lifestyle look like?
Great question. For me, it means surrounding myself with the language songs, shows, memes, even changing my phone settings.
Oh yes, immersion through your environment. That's such a game changer.
It really is. The more you see the language, the more natural it feels.
So instead of setting aside a strict hour a day, you just weave language into your daily habits.
Exactly. I think of it like brushing my teeth, it's just part of the day now.
That's so motivating. Because people often think they need huge blocks of time to make progress.
Nope, it's more about frequency than duration. 10 minutes 5 times a day beats 1 hour once a week.
That's such a shift. and so much more doable for busy people.
Yes, language learning isn't about having time, it's about making space.
I love that. Making space feels more intentional, more compassionate.
Exactly. Because life gets busy, but if something matters, you find a way to include it.
So, for someone listening who feels like they're failing because they're not studying hours every day, what would you say?
I'd say please be kind to yourself. You're not failing, you're learning. And learning isn't linear.
So true. Progress looks different for everyone.
Yes. And comparison is another trap. Don't compare your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20.
That's such a needed reminder. The only person you need to compete with is yesterday's version of you.
Yes. And even then be gentle. Some days you win, some days you rest.
Spoken like a true language warrior.
Ha. Thanks. I think we need to start calling ourselves that, language warriors, not just learners.
Yes, it changes the identity. It adds courage, purpose, strength.
Because it takes bravery to speak imperfectly in front of others. That's no small thing.
Absolutely. Every mistake is a battle scar of progress.
Love that, and every sentence you try is a step toward fluency.
So, Jacob, what are some habits you'd recommend for someone restarting their language journey after a break?
Great question. I'd start small. Choose one daily habit you enjoy, like listening to a short podcast or reading a tweet in your target language.
Keeping it light and fun?
Yes. Build positive association. You want to look forward to it, not dread it.
That's so important. I think people sometimes try to punish themselves into progress.
Exactly. But punishment doesn't lead to passion, joy does.
Beautifully said. So restart with joy, not guilt.
100%. And tell yourself, I'm not starting from scratch. I'm starting from experience.
Oh wow, yes, that reframes everything. You're building on what's already inside you.
Exactly. Learning is like planting seeds. Even if you stop watering for a while, the roots are still there.
That's such a comforting metaphor. The knowledge doesn't vanish, it just needs sunlight again.
Yes, and once you give it some care, it blooms even faster the second time around.
That gives me goosebumps. Such hope in that thought.
Hope is everything. With the right mindset, anything is possible, even fluency.
Jacob, you're full of wisdom today. I feel like I'm learning all over again.
Haha, same here. Talking about it keeps the fire alive for me too.
Jacob, since we're on a roll, I'd love to explore how language learning connects with real life situations like travel or even making friends abroad.
Oh yes, that's one of my favorite parts. Language transforms travel completely. It turns you from a tourist into a guest.
Wow, that's a powerful way to put it. From tourist to guest. Tell me more about that.
When you know the local language, even just a little, you're showing respect. Locals open up more, treat you with warmth. You're no longer just passing through, you're connecting.
I've experienced that too. Just a simple thank you in the native language can light up someone's face.
Absolutely, it shows effort. You're saying, I see you. I value your culture.
I remember trying to order coffee in Italian, once completely messed up the grammar. But the barista smiled and helped me correct it.
Yes, that's the magic. People don't expect perfection. They appreciate courage.
And it becomes a shared moment. A little human connection you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Exactly. And that builds confidence. Every small win makes you braver.
So would you say travel is a language classroom?
Definitely. It's the most immersive classroom you'll ever find. You're learning through experience, not just textbooks.
That makes it more emotional too. You feel the language.
Yes. When you ask for directions, order food, or join a conversation, it's no longer abstract. It's survival. It's connection. It's real.
Have you ever had a moment abroad where knowing the language saved the day?
Oh yes, once in Paris, I missed the last train and had to ask a local how to get back to my hostel. He didn't speak English, but thanks to my rusty French, I managed to follow his directions. It felt like unlocking a secret level of the city.
That's such a great feeling. Like you're not just observing the world, you're participating in it.
Exactly. And it's not just travel, it's relationships too. Language lets you see people differently.
Yes, like when you learn a friend's native tongue. Even a few words, it strengthens the bond.
It shows that you care about their identity, their roots. That builds trust.
And it gives you access to their humor, their stories, even their worldview.
Oh, definitely. Every language has untranslatable words, little windows into culture.
Like the Japanese word, wabi, sabi, the beauty of imperfection.
Or the Portuguese saudade, a deep nostalgic longing.
Yes, these words teach us things that no textbook ever could.
Exactly. Language is more than vocabulary, it's a vessel of culture, emotion, history.
So, in a way, learning a language is learning how to feel differently.
That's so true. It expands your empathy. You start to understand how others think and feel.
And it helps you step outside your own mental box.
Yes, like in some languages, there's no word for privacy, or time is described spatially.
Right. That changes the way you perceive the world.
It does. It literally reshapes your brain. New language, new thoughts.
That's so inspiring. Learning a language isn't just communication, it's transformation.
Absolutely. It rewires you. It makes you a more curious, compassionate, and open human being.
That brings me to another point. Do you think language learning can help with personal growth?
Without a doubt. It teaches patience, humility, persistence, all essential life skills.
Yes. Because you have to be okay with being bad at something before you get good.
Exactly. You learn to laugh at yourself, to keep trying even when it's awkward.
That's real resilience. And it spills over into other parts of life too.
It does. You become less afraid of making mistakes. You start seeing failure as part of the process.
I think that's why I admire language learners so much. They're brave.
Totally agree. It takes courage to speak out loud, to risk being misunderstood, to keep going.
And it also teaches gratitude. Like appreciating how rich and diverse the world truly is.
Beautifully said. Every language is a different flavor of humanity.
So if someone listening right now is feeling stuck, maybe they're frustrated with their progress, what would you say?
I'd say, breathe. It's okay to feel stuck. But you're still moving forward, even if it doesn't feel like it.
That's such an important reminder. Sometimes growth is invisible.
Yes. It's like seeds under the soil. Just because you can't see them growing doesn't mean they're not.
Wow, Jacob. That's a perfect metaphor. Silent progress is still progress.
Exactly. And sometimes the biggest progress comes from the quiet, steady effort no one sees.
Including ourselves. We forget how far we've come.
Yes. So take a moment to reflect. Look back. Celebrate those tiny victories.
Like the first time you understood a joke in your target language. Or ordered food without panicking.
Yes, or watched a movie without subtitles and caught more than you expected.
Those are real wins. They matter.
Every one of them builds your confidence. Your identity shifts, you're no longer a beginner. You're becoming bilingual.
Becoming not one day, but right now, in progress.
Exactly, you're in motion. And that's what counts.
Jacob, I love where this conversation is going. Let's talk about how language can actually open doors in people's careers too.
Oh, yes. In fact, I think we often underestimate how powerful language skills can be in the workplace.
I agree. It's more than just translating words, it's about cultural fluency, right?
Exactly. Let's say two candidates apply for the same job. Both are smart, qualified, experienced, but one speaks a second language. That person immediately brings an edge.
Because they can communicate with a wider audience, or even bridge between teams from different regions.
Absolutely. And it's not just about language, it's also the soft skills that come with it.
Like what?
Patience, problem solving, adaptability. When you're learning a new language, you're constantly working your brain, adjusting to context, figuring out what's being said, even when you don't understand every word.
That's such a great point. It trains your brain to stay calm under pressure.
Yes, imagine being in a high-stakes business meeting and keeping your cool even when things aren't 100% clear. That's a skill language learners practice daily.
So true. And I've also noticed that bilingual or multilingual people often become cultural bridges in teams.
Oh, definitely. They help teams understand each other better, beyond just language. They're sensitive to tone, etiquette, nuance.
That makes them excellent leaders too, right?
Exactly. Leaders need emotional intelligence, and language learning boosts that.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Emotional intelligence. How does learning a language connect to that?
Great question. When you learn a language, you also start to learn how people express feelings differently. What's considered polite, rude, warm, cold, it all shifts from culture to culture.
So true. Even something like eye contact means very different things in different places,
Yes. And by learning a new language, you become more aware of that. You start tuning into the emotions behind the words.
which is such a powerful life skill.
Absolutely. You get better at listening, not just hearing words, but really understanding people.
And that applies to so many areas of life: work, relationships, family, even self awareness.
For sure. In fact, I'd say language learning forces you to reflect on how you express things too.
Yes. Like you suddenly notice your own tone, your phrasing, your assumptions.
Exactly. You realize, oh, wow, I didn't even think how that might sound to someone from another culture.
That's powerful self awareness. And it helps you grow.
Big time. It makes you more thoughtful, more empathetic, more open minded.
Do you think that changes a person's identity?
100%. When you start thinking in another language, even occasionally, you start being different.
I've heard that before, how people feel like they have slightly different personalities in each language they speak.
It's true because language shapes your thoughts, your rhythm, your humor, even your emotional tone.
That's fascinating. So someone might be more serious in one language and more playful in another.
Exactly, it's like accessing different layers of yourself.
Wow, I love that. It's not just adding a skill, it's adding a dimension to your personality.
Yes, and it's not about becoming someone else, it's about expanding who you are.
That's so inspiring. You're not losing your identity, you're growing it.
Beautifully said. Every language you learn adds a color to your personality palette.
That's a beautiful image. And I think that also boosts self confidence, right?
Oh, definitely. The first time you successfully navigate a real conversation in your new language, it's like flying.
Yes. I remember saying my first full sentence in French to a stranger and thinking, I did that.
And that feeling stays with you. It gives you a quiet, lasting sense of strength.
And it's earned. You worked for it, you stretched yourself.
That's the key. It's a confidence built on real growth.
I feel like every language learner becomes more courageous just by going through that process.
Totally. Because you're constantly stepping outside your comfort zone. That courage becomes a habit.
And I think that's what people don't see on the surface. It's not just grammar drills, it's a whole mindset shift.
Absolutely. It's a rewiring of your brain, your heart, your whole worldview.
That brings me to a question we get a lot. What's the biggest myth about learning a new language?
Great question. I'd say the biggest myth is you have to be naturally good at languages to learn one.
Oh, yes, I hear that so often. I'm just not a language person.
And it's not true. Language is a skill, not a talent. Anyone can learn with the right mindset and consistency.
That's such an empowering message. You don't have to be gifted. You just have to be committed.
Exactly, and patient. Language learning is a marathon, not a sprint.
I love that. It's not about being fast, it's about being steady.
Yes, progress may be slow, but it's always happening if you keep showing up.
So, for someone listening right now who feels overwhelmed, what's one thing they could do today?
I'd say pick one small action. Watch a 5-minute video in your target language. Learn 5 new words. Repeat one phrase out loud.
That's manageable. And it builds momentum.
Exactly. Small, consistent steps create big transformation over time.
This has been so powerful, Jacob. I feel like we're uncovering layers people don't often talk about.
Yes, and I love that we can share it in this space. A place where listeners can take their time, absorb it, reflect.
That's what the English Hour is all about: real conversations, real growth.
And no pressure, just a calm space to learn, explore, and feel seen.
Speaking of feeling seen, I'd love to get into how language helps people feel more belonging. That emotional piece.
Yes, that's such a deep topic, and I've got a lot to say about that.
So, Jacob, we've explored so much already: career, identity, confidence. But one thing I really want to touch on before we wrap up is the emotional side. How language helps people feel like they belong.
That's a powerful point, Sophia. And honestly, I think it's one of the most beautiful things about language. It can be a bridge out of loneliness.
Yes. I've heard so many stories where someone felt like an outsider for years, but once they started learning the language, things changed.
Absolutely. Suddenly, they could connect with neighbors, participate in community events, even just say hello at the grocery store, and that changes everything.
It's those tiny moments, right? A shared laugh, a compliment, a simple, "How are you?"
Exactly. Language makes space for those human moments. And over time, those moments add up to a sense of home.
I love that language creating a sense of home.
And for people who move to a new country, it's often the first step toward rebuilding their identity.
That's so moving. It's not just about survival, it's about connection.
Yes. When someone takes the time to learn even a few words in the local language, it shows respect. It says, I care enough to try
And people respond to that, don't they?
every time. I've seen someone with very limited language skills get welcomed warmly just because they tried to say, thank you, or good morning.
That effort builds trust. And I think it also helps people heal from feeling unseen.
Completely. Language is a human right. And when someone finds their voice in a new language, they reclaim part of their dignity.
That gave me chills. It's such a beautiful reminder of what learning truly means.
And that's why I always say language learning is never just academic, it's emotional, it's personal.
It really is. And it's something worth celebrating at every step.
Yes, whether you just learned your first word or had your first full conversation, you're doing something extraordinary.
So, for everyone listening today, wherever you are on your journey, we want to say keep going. You're building something amazing.
And you're not alone. Every language learner has felt confused, stuck, embarrassed, but those moments are part of the growth.
That's right. And we hope this conversation has reminded you that every bit of effort matters.
Because at the end of the day, language isn't just about speaking, it's about connecting.
Jacob, thank you so much for being here today. This has been such a heartfelt and inspiring conversation.
Thank you, Sophia. It's always a joy to talk with you and to be part of something that lifts people up.
And to our listeners, thank you for spending this time with us on the English Hour. If this episode encouraged you, inspired you, or made you smile even just once, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments too.
And don't forget to celebrate your progress. Even the smallest step is a victory.
We'll see you in the next episode with more stories, insights, and conversations to help you grow in your English journey. Until then, keep learning and keep shining.
Bye for now, friends.
Bye everyone. Take care and remember your voice matters.